We're back. I mean, we weren't really here in the first place, were we? We've done a couple of these sit-downs, and I know why we do the sit-downs. Do you even call it a podcast? Is this a podcast?
Is this a podcast? I have no idea. It's a sit-down.
Yeah, it's a sit-down. But the reason we do it is, obviously, we're posting all the time with loads of updates around things that are going on in not just the trademark world, but the business world, the SME world. I think it's really tough at the moment for SMEs, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. Well, different things with the whole environment of, you've got government pressures, you've got all different kind of pressures. Everyone's just too busy at the moment.
I've noticed that as well, because it's that whole thing, isn't it, about for the SME, the goal is always to get to a stage in your career where you can hand the work off. But actually, really, most SMEs, what they've got, you see it with all the business coaches, they'll say, basically what you've just got is a really high-pressure, low-paid job. Until you can get to a point where the business is able to run itself and you're actually able to step back. And getting that transition is so difficult for so many people. And Lord knows we've had those challenges over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nearly 2 decades in now.
Yeah, I actually saw it on Diary of a CEO. He was explaining it of... like you go through a spring, summer, autumn and winter stage. And you should be in your absolute peak at the summer stage. But I feel like so many business owners are kind of in their autumn stage and still absolutely grafting their arse off.
Yeah. And it's endless, isn't it? I mean, everyone you speak to, I mean, it used to be, how are you doing? Stock answer, yeah, great, thanks. Whereas now it's like, how are you doing? And people are just like, there's not enough hours in the day. And I think everyone's scrambling as well because they're feeling the pressures of AI. We're going to be talking about that today. But people are feeling the pressures of like, actually, is my industry even going to be here in 5-6 years? How do I get ahead of it? What do I do? How can I impact that? Which again is stuff that we're dealing with. So as an SME, it's good for us to deal with SMEs because we're kind of trying to, as much as possible, share our own findings to try and add more value to our customers, which I suppose is the point of doing this, right?
And I don't know how you're feeling about AI, but that, I mean, what I can take from it, because I speak to clients every day and business owners every day, in that AI should be something that takes time pressure off your hands, but actually having to learn and invest and develop AI, it becomes its whole job in its own. And it's like, how do you set all your systems up with AI whilst developing the AI and actually run your business?
I mean, it is to be blunt, it's a head fuck, isn't it? Because you want to do these things to make your life easier, but to do that, you've got to learn something new, you've got to change your methodology. And then it's also understanding the difference between what AI can and can't do, because we've already seen it. I mean, a solicitor got struck off the other week. I don't know if you saw that in the news. There was a solicitor who... basically was obviously in a rush, put her arguments together and presented 3 legal arguments that were completely hallucinated. And the judge basically got her struck off for wasting court time and failing to prepare correctly. Yeah. So it's, I mean, that's an extreme example of hallucination from AI, but there are AI technologies out there that can completely circumvent the risk of that type of thing. But you've got to know what you're doing, you've got to know how to invest. And then the big thing that's annoying me is every time I turn on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, it's someone else telling me that AI is going to make everyone a millionaire in the next 5 years. And if you're not doing it, you should be doing it. And it's like, I'm just trying to relax at home and watch a bit of YouTube. Like I want to watch a bit of Talk Sport boxing, and I'm getting adverts coming in telling me I need to put AI in my business. Like, and we're restricted on what we can do with AI because we use AI for our monitoring technology and our audit technology, because it's really good for that, because we've obviously taken the time to develop the platform and make sure that the data that it's sourcing from is absolutely credible. So we can't make any mess ups, we can't mess anything up there, because we know the data source is accurate, it's a source of truth. But if you were to just rely on ChatGPT, you could be pulling all kinds of random...
Well, we actually came across that. It was, it must have been about 2 weeks ago now. So we're in opposition. Well, we were the aggressor, if you can imagine. So somebody was infringing upon our client's trademark. We were opposing their application. And the evidence that this gentleman submitted without a representation, the IPO actually just threw it out. So the IPO just said, we can tell this is completely AI. You need to... Well, we're not accepting this opposition. You need to redo it.
Quite right too. I mean, especially when you're paying a professional representative. But I think even if it was a direct client, I think they would not be happy about receiving AI.
No.
You know, they want to know that the arguments they're reading are considered and don't be having to fact check anything. And this is one of the things we see a lot with objections and cancellations that can go wrong against trademarks, is people just presume that the person looking at the evidence can put two and two together. But actually, it's not their job to go and validate what you've provided and say, actually, well, I can draw an assumption from that. If you don't put it on, it's not there.
Yeah.
They're literally only going to look at what's in front of them. In the same way as our technology will only look at the data we provide.
If
it's not there, it's not true. And if you fail to prepare your evidence properly, then you're going to miss your deadlines. You know, you're going to get kicked out. You can't represent evidence at appeal. You get one shot, basically. It's harsh, but it's how it's done. Otherwise, it's a government agency. If you could do multiple objections and multiple cancellations, it'd be costing 4 times as much to do a trademark application, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a prediction for this year, actually. I think we'll see for the first time that people will start to have to put or want to promote their video as not AI.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of videos on TikTok and you see them on wherever it may be as AI generated. I think we'll see a lot of content creators and businesses actually promote their videos as not AI. And I think that feeds into the business world. So definitely with representatives and lawyers, in that their whole credibility and their whole USP is that, you know, it's not AI. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
But I think that'll expand kind of across all sectors, that business promoting themselves as not AI will be such a huge thing.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because actually, if you look at any contract that you sign, at the end of it, you have to say, I certify that this is, and declare that this is true. And that it's, you know, you have to put these declarations in. How far are we off having to put a declaration in to say, this is all from my own my own research, my own information. None of this has been, you know, I've not relied on any third-party information. I mean, effectively, that's what those declarations are there to do anyway. It's like saying, yes, I packed my own suitcase. Do you know what I mean? No one's tampered with it. You know, that's the disclaimer. It's like we're sort of in that stage now where almost AI is becoming a specific thing. Now, on that note, I was looking at trademarks on the IPO the other day, because that's what I do with these days. Apparently, I'm a massive dork. But one thing I noticed was that there's a couple of classifications that are specific to technology, and artificial intelligence has actually been around as a classification for a long time. Like, you know, long before any of us were talking about AI on the internet, really. But yet, it's interesting for tech firms. I was thinking that a lot of those firms probably are now doing AI, but haven't actually added AI as a description.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's a very good point, because as we know, just to remind everybody, that you can't change your application or trademark once it's been submitted.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a representative, or you're not constantly looking at your trademark, how are you going to have the correct protection in place, basically?
So because, you know, I've got nothing better to do, I actually ran a check on it.
Through AI or?
No, not through AI. I used a source of truth, Matt, which I actually did. Yeah. And I ran it through, and I just basically went through, when I say I did it, just to be clear, I got our developer to do it. Okay. I asked him to run through it. Not Claude. No, we don't even use Claude. I used Alex, our developer, and he basically ran I think it was a JSON query, whatever that is. I'm not a techie. But what came back was around 65%. It was about 380,000 trademarks in that sector, because tech's a massive sector in UK trademarks. This is just the UK, by the way. There are about 380,000 that did not have that in, that were registered active trademarks.
Wow.
So that just got me thinking. I would imagine, because most of them are development houses, they are doing software or hardware of some kind. You would imagine that AI has to be part of it. And there's 2 classes specifically, as I said, that it sits to. So that was one of those things. I did consider, you know, should we actually write to these 380,000 people? But then I realised that Royal Mail costs money. And also, obviously, a lot of them got representatives, and it wouldn't be our place. But I do think it's one of those things. If people are in tech, they probably should be, and they've got trademark, which most of them have. they probably should be taking a look.
Well, I think you're right, because I think most of the clients that I deal with who are bringing out, for example, an app or so class 9 in your application, most people want AI in there as absolute standard now, because they will be doing it. So 9 for the app, 42 is the SaaS, basically.
Right. Okay. Software as a service for the uninitiated.
Yeah. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, would you say 380,000 or
something around? Yeah, it's about 386.
You would think that a third of them will actually be using AI within their technology. I'd be very surprised if most weren't actually, if they weren't using AI and they didn't need that in the trademark.
Yeah, I suppose it's as well. I mean, not looking to just promote our service, because that's not what this is for. Although obviously it's a natural byproduct, so we're proud of what we do. But even if you don't have a representative, one of the things we insist upon with our clients is they do annual review, because if you check your trademark every year, you can just make sure that things like this don't slip the net. So it's only a matter of looking at your classes and terms and going, are these still valid? And then I suppose the other thing we look at as well is, are you trading in any new jurisdictions? Have you added any new goods and services? Because ultimately people do then sort of actually, we've set up a retail outlet which we didn't have before, and that's now something we need to consider, because we don't want someone else on the high street having the same brand, right?
Yeah. On that note, I wonder how many financial services sector businesses would need crypto within their trademarks as well. Yeah, it's kind of like it's just keeping up to date with naturally how things progress within different sectors, isn't it?
And actually, that segues quite nicely into one of the subjects I wanted to talk about today, which was international trademark applications.
Yeah.
Right, and this is it's one of those things where I genuinely feel having a representative helps, because if you don't know, for the people listening who don't know, if you want international trademarks, in the past, you have had to have an international representative. So you want a US trademark, you need a US attorney. You want an EU trademark, you need an EU attorney. You want a UK trademark, you need a UK representative. So they've all got different rules, all got slightly different classes. So some time ago, I can't remember the exact date, early 2000s, the WIPO was set up, Worldwide Intellectual Property Office, which isn't actually a register. It's just it's a United Nations organisation, but they put together something called the Madrid Protocol. Yeah. So you probably can explain this better than me, but the Madrid Protocol, what is it?
It's essentially, you're absolutely right. So let's say, for example, I'm a UK business.
Yeah.
I've got a UK trademark. I did it on my own, as an example, and I want to get a US application submitted. I would need to have a registered business address in the US.
Right.
Whereas using the WIPO tool, the World Intellectual Property Office, you wouldn't need to have that international address. So you would use their tool to do the US application. However, you're absolutely right in saying that all different jurisdictions, whether it be the US or China, they have their little niches of their classes and terms, what will be accepted, what can't be accepted. And that might be the formatting of the classes and terms. It might be, for example, thinking off the top of my head, China, I think they have variants of class 35. They don't really have a class 35 as sense. They have like a few different types. It's weird. But you would never know that by submitting your application through WIPO, because you're just going to use your UK style classes and terms. So a lot of the time what's happening is that, again, as the example, I'm a UK business, I submit my US application, the US PTO, the government body behind it, would just say, no, we're not accepting it. And at that point, I would then need to think, in order to get this accepted, I'm going to have to get a US attorney.
And now you've got to pay more fees.
Spent money on the WIPO, and then now I have to find a US attorney to be able to make that application.
And this is the thing, the WIPO doesn't give you cheaper trademark. It's not like they're not charging you for the service. You're still paying IPO fees, equivalent IPO fees for that jurisdiction, plus a fee on top, effectively, to get it done. And there's no kind of guarantee of service level. Like if it doesn't go through, as with any registrar, you're not going to get a refund if you mess up your application. But what's great about it is it's easy, because you can go, actually, I've got 20 jurisdictions, I'll tick all 20, click a button, done. That's job done. But in reality, it's not job done. No. You've still got those 20 applications you've still got to go through.
Absolutely.
Now, I know from our experience, whenever we've done US applications through that protocol, because you have to use the same classes and terms across, they don't always carry through, do they?
No. And we, I mean, it was years ago really, wasn't it, that we have clients who they say, all right, I want EU, US, China, Japan, Australia.
Yeah.
And we present the options of, we can use WePo if you want us to, but we have all these partners. I'll move on to partners in a second, but we would always give the clients an option of, this would be the cost of using WePo, this would be the cost of using our partners. And on the face of it, it looks like, well, why wouldn't I just submit one application with all these jurisdictions? It's going to be cheaper. If I was, I'm going back to my example of, I'm a UK business on my own doing an application. And if I was to use WePo, and on the flip side of things was to just Google US attorney or China attorney, WePo is going to be cheaper because I've just Googled an attorney who's going to have such a high rate that they charge X amount of dollars, because I don't know the people to turn to. So WePo, on the face of it, looks great. Can get all that done a lot cheaper. As you say, a lot of the applications might not be successful because of the different variants. Where we come in, again, I know that this isn't the point of this, isn't to promote our services, but any representative, any credible representative, such as ourselves, they should have, and we do have, partners across the globe. So basically, I mean, we've had US and still got US, EU, Australian partners that do the applications for us, basically acting as, if I can say it, a bit of a puppet. They just do the administrative services for our applications.
I mean, they're an administrator, aren't they? In the same respect. I mean, it's in the same respect as we have people, overseas representatives and overseas clients who come to us. If we're dealing with an overseas representative, because we're not having to deal with the client-facing part of it, we're not collecting the information. All we're effectively doing is being provided with the information and providing an administrative service. And then the results of that, if there's anything there's any feedback, anything needs to go back to the customer, that's being dealt with by them.
Yeah.
So obviously we can deliver that service for less than if we've got to deal with the customer service element and everything else that comes with it. So that's a well-trodden path, and people who've been in the industry for a long time, like us, will have built up relationships, and we've kissed a few frogs over the years, and that's how it is. Where you can only do so much due diligence before you actually try someone and see what they're like. But I'm pretty proud of the partners we've got now, and I hope the ones who work with us are proud of working with us as well. In fact, the IPO conference this year is in May, isn't it? But it's actually in London this year. It's normally in the States or further afield. So I'll be attending that this year, and I'll be hoping to make some more contacts there. So I've already got a few meetings teed up with IP professionals that we want to potentially work with in other jurisdictions that we haven't necessarily had applications in, but we can see them coming. I'll tell you one that we're expecting to see more of until recently was the UAE. But the trademarks over there is eye-watering the amounts of money that you're paying.
I was just about to say, it's probably exactly that. A lot of people say, they're a startup or they're just getting going. I want to get an application going in the UAE because sounds fancy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we won't say what the price is, but it's a lot. Then, the price is dictated by the market. I mean, there's buoyant markets. I mean, it's safe to say the UK is a tough place to do business at the moment, because everyone's feeling the pinch for various reasons. We're getting it on all sides, whereas you go to somewhere buoyant like Dubai until just recently, but I'm sure that'll change soon. But, when you're in a prospering society full of expats with money to spend who are in a wealth creation phase of their life, they're all looking to spend money. They're all looking to invest in business. They want their brand to have ownership of that market. And it's a small market, actually. It's a small, tight-knit. It's millions of people, but it's in a small community, You're
basically paying for the networking.
You are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, to own that, exactly right. I mean, it makes sense, but so it's an interesting one. I mean, I've been looking at this whole WePo situation for some time now, and I think it's a great thing they've set up, and I think it's provided probably invaluable access to support for, probably hundreds of thousands of SMEs who needed something. However, I would argue that if you have got a representative, that's one of the places where we can add a lot more value for people, because you're still getting the benefit of one point of contact, but it's actually a person at the end of the phone who you can talk to, who's dealing with it all for you and explaining it all, and getting the benefit of having the local expertise, which is what you need.
Yeah. And when I give the options of, this is WIPO for EU, US and Australia as an example, or this would be to submit the applications using our trusted partners in those jurisdictions, it actually works out less expensive.
Yeah,
it works out cheaper using our partners.
Especially on I was looking at what they charge for a UK application compared to what we charge for a UK application, direct to customer.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is quite expensive. Yeah. And I had to double check it because it's Swiss francs, so I had to double check the conversion rates. Yeah. But it's pretty exy.
It's a classic of who you know, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, as I say, it's one of the areas we provide value. But on to some more fun stuff. So, talking about global brands, one sport that has recently exploded out of the UK finally was you'll know what it is because it's one of the sports you're really good at. I mean, you're good at quite a lot of sports allegedly, but this is one that I've seen you good at because we've got a dartboard in the office.
I was just about to say, is it a pub sport?
It is a pub sport, yeah. And obviously, we've got a dartboard in the office, so I've seen you hustle new starters. So darts created by darts basically was turned into a spectator sport, massive spectator sport by Eddie Hearn's dad, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He shouldn't be called Eddie Hearn's dad. He's got his own name. Is it Barry? Barry Hearn. That's only because I'm a boxing fan. But I mean, that's actually where it's snooker and darts where they make the bulk of their money at Matchroom. But darts in particular, he saw the opportunity to take something that was very low viewership and turn it into this massive. It's a pretty northern thing, actually, isn't it? A bunch of people getting in fancy dress, rocking up, having pints.
It's no longer that the players stand at the board with a pint in hand.
No, exactly. Exactly.
It's not quite that anymore, isn't it?
Well, they've done an event in Saudi now, haven't they?
Yeah.
Done a massive event in Saudi, but
who hasn't done an event in Saudi now?
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, that Riyadh season are taking over the world, aren't they? But I was fascinated, though, to see darts have made it into Trademarks, and it was you who highlighted this to me. So go on.
Oh, yeah. Luke Littler. So he's trademarked his face.
His face?
Yes, yeah. And we've actually seen it before, kind of. I'll explain it in a second. But with Luke Littler, he's, or his representative, whoever it may be, concerned of the AI fakes that are going about, who basically monetarising off his face. Which you can understand. It's a great idea. I don't know how easy it would be to actually put it into practice. So it's great that he's got the protection there, but it would have to be a pretty niche thing for somebody to be using his face to gain commercially. For example, I mean, I know that he sells his darts boards, and his dartboard would obviously have, not on the physical dartboard, but on the packaging his face. I don't know.
I think, look,
do you think it's more to do with social media?
I think there's loads of angles to it. Obviously, I work on the legal side as well, and I think it's all to do with enforcement. When we talk about enforcement, most of our enforcement that we deal with is just someone's created a Facebook account, not bothered to check anyone's name. They're infringing on someone.
Yeah,
it's either someone who was a bit stupid because they didn't bother checking first, or it's someone who's maliciously done it. But either way, when you've got a word mark, it's very easy to go to the platform and say, get this taken down immediately, we don't want it. And I think that when you have the likes of Martin Lewis, who is getting, countless, he's got an entire team now who have to just constantly have fake Martin Lewis's taken down.
Yeah, the deep fakes,
and if they don't refer to themselves as Martin Lewis, then what are you actually telling them off for? Because
this is my point.
But that's the whole thing, is that actually, because it's an image, isn't it? That it's an image of their face that they are trademarking when these celebrities are doing it now.
Yeah.
Just like, you've got celebrities who are, they are, trademarking and their likeness and everything because they know that the future of movies could potentially involve not having to shoot anything.
Yeah.
Like it could just be somebody doing an AI generated Harrison Ford, Hopefully they'll redo the Star Wars sequels. I don't know, but it's either way they've got this thing that they need to protect. But I think with the likes of Luke Littler, he's probably sitting saying, well, if someone has got something up and they're using it to benefit themselves, because you've got scams, but then you've also got people who, again, are just a bit stupid and they go, actually, I've got a really good idea. I'll use Luke Littler's face on this advert for my car insurance company. And then suddenly that car insurance company makes money off it and he goes, I didn't endorse that. So then you've got an actual financial claim. Where it's like, actually, you've used my likeness and you've not compensated me for it, and I want some money.
I think there's going to be a thin line between fraud and trademark infringement. Is my point on this. I think it's going to be hard to determine when for Luke to actually take action against a trademark infringement and when it actually turns into fraud. Turning into the scam side of things, which we saw with Martin Lewis.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we saw this as well. We reported on this, 12 months ago now. It was Cole Palmer. He's already, I mean, he's got loads of trademarks. He's a pretty savvy chap, to be fair.
He's got the old Cole Palmer celebration, hasn't he?
He's got that he's trademarked his celebration dance, hasn't he? But he did this a while ago, and I think we're going to see more of a trend of this. And I think it's going to spill out past celebrity and towards influencer as well, because it may be that you are not an A-list celebrity or even B-list celebrity, but you could be a celebrity on one platform, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, or it could be a more obscure one that I don't even know about. But if somebody was to choose to abuse your likeness or your catchphrase or whatever it is that you've done, it makes sense to protect those items, right? And that's what trademarks are for, right?
Yeah, we've got a few, I say celebrity clients, the more like social media influencers, let's say. And it's funny, whenever I speak to them about why that they're wanting to protect, most of the time it's protecting the name, which is always a good trademark to do. But most of the time when I'm explaining the benefits and asking the reasons as to why they want to trademark the name, do you know the answer they give?
What?
I just think it looks good.
Well, it's fair enough, Having a little R at the end of your name whenever I wonder if you put the R when you're writing a signature, an autograph, I don't know. But it is, it's like registered trademark,
And I get for a lot of businesses, it does come down to like people, it obviously is credibility having the trademark, but it's quite funny with the influencers that we have, they just want it because they think it looks good. They kind of like sense of empowerment to them.
Well, I mean, there's also those, you've got to consider, I mean, the other thing is that, like, I look back at the early days of when we started back in 2008, social was already a thing. It was taking off, but it wasn't like it is now. It certainly wasn't as much video content as there is now. But what was big was, websites were still the main thing that people used to market themselves online. And one of the big, I won't say who it was because I don't want to discredit a company, but one of the big companies that was out there that was really successful at the time, they used to give away a free book of businesses that was about this thick, and it slowly got to this sort of size, and now it doesn't exist. But they started doing
the back of me saying for a lot of the social media influencers, it's credibility.
So it's interesting because I've watched the different trends, because when we started back in 2008, social media was already a thing. But there definitely wasn't as much video content, and it wasn't people's primary platform. The main platform people were using at the time was their website. That's what the internet was, really, for most people. That's, if you want to market on the internet, you need a website. And there was a company that were a big company at the time, and I don't want to sort of talk negatively about companies that may have gone into decline, but the company used to give away a free business directory that was about this thick. That used to go to all your houses free of charge.
Certain colour.
And it got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you don't get it anymore. And when they moved into the internet, obviously the first thing they started doing for their clients was websites. But one of the things that was interesting was that they set up their model so that when people registered the domain, they registered the domain name in their name, not in the customer's name. Right. And it was a nice trick from their point of view, because they were thinking, well, if the client wants to move their website, then they're going to have to get a new domain name. So all that IP that you've built up within your domain name, like, I don't want to have to do a new domain name, so you kind of stuck with them. So it's kind of like a bit of it's like handcuffs, really, kind of like, they've gripped hold of that asset. But one of the ways we were helping people overcome that was with trademarks. So we knew that if we registered the trademark, they had no legal standing for holding it.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think, they probably would have said, actually, we just need to stop doing this because it's bad practice and it's leaving a bit of a bad taste in people's mouths. But it's just interesting seeing how things evolve. And what we're seeing now is that it's more and more prevalent because you can set up a social media account like that. And it's not like you need any design or whatever else. So the trademarks the enforcement that we're seeing more and more now is it's mostly around that.
It's funny you say, because when clients are asking me about their monitoring and what we kind of flag first as the first sign of an infringement in our monitoring reports, just as a reminder for everybody, monitoring reports, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual report that flags anybody else who's using similar branding to you, whether it be across Google, domains, social media, company's house. Now, I always used to say, and this was a few years ago, and trademarks.
Yeah, trademarks important as well.
Yeah. But on specifically just the infringement of a brand rather than a trademark infringement.
Yeah.
I always used to say to clients, and this was a few years ago, the first opportunity that we would spot that somebody's starting to infringe upon your brand would be setting up their company's house.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the time now, a lot of people, they set up the social media. They might create an Instagram account, a TikTok account, and then they think about company's house or a website.
Yeah.
And it's strange. It's flipped now to kind of, I think, the first thing that people do when they're set up a business, or a lot of people do, set up a social media.
Yeah, exactly. And they probably are more inclined to check for domain names before they check for company names now. Because so many of these things that are cropping up now as well, they're side hustles. They're not necessarily, they're lifestyle add-ons. They're a bit of extra cash.
Or handles. They check the handles available first, and then they build the brand around
it. They're just looking to flog some sarongs online or whatever it is, and everyone, people have worked, drop shipping seems to be on the decline now. But it's a strange time. It's funny how things evolve. But speaking of things that evolve, so we reported twice on the Katy Perry versus Katy Perry already.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen the latest update?
I've caught wind of it, but go on, explain it.
Yeah, so, basically, the first time it came through, it was that Katy Perry, the pop star, who is not actually called Katy Perry originally, but that's her brand. She was going on tour in Oz, and she wanted to sell merchandise with her name on it, which is fine, but it's clothing. And Katy Perry in Australia is actually quite a successful designer. It's a designer brand. So she was actually not too happy about somebody else coming in with Katy Perry, even though I would argue you wouldn't really mistake a tour T-shirt with a designer brand. She was saying it's not really okay. I've got the trademark, you need to stop. So
I don't blame her. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way it went was it went through a full hearing, and ultimately the decision was the offer to coexist and say we can both do it. We won't pretend to be a designer brand, won't do this. Katy Perry, the designer, said, no, not happy with that, don't want it, she shouldn't be doing it, I've had it first. Anyway.
Please tell me there's an outcome.
Well, there was. So the last outcome that we reported on was that actually having refused coexistence, she was basically, it ruled against her and said, well, no, that's tough for you, so that it's...
Against the singer?
No, it ruled against ruled against the designer. So, and she said this has made a mockery of the whole trademark system, which I can completely understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, the latest result is that she's now gone back, and she's now had success. So she's now enforced her trademark. But I mean, she's had to go through the mill. It's not really fair that she's had to go through so much. But I think ultimately, there is a bit of a thing sometimes of celebrity strong arming, where just because you're the bigger brand, I had a friend of mine had a brand that was long established that was then picked up by a huge global taxi company basically, and they decided that they didn't want her having that anymore, and she just had to surrender because they had much deeper pockets than her, and she couldn't. It wasn't worth taking on. She just had to rebrand her thing, and it's a shame because legally she was probably in the right.
Yeah,
but ultimately...
And you know what? I think that's what I really respect about the UK IPO. That for the most part of an opposition or whatever it may be that's dealing with the UK IPO, it doesn't come down to who's the bigger brand, who's got the deeper pockets, unlike what it does in America. It comes down to what's factually correct, and it's all dealt with in-house in the IPO for the most part.
I think it gets tricky though, doesn't it, when you're dealing with really well-known brands like celebrity, because ultimately someone can get that acquired distinctiveness where even if you were around first, I use the old example of Dell computers, Paul Dell had a computer firm, when Dell Computing shot through became a massive organization, it became confusing for people. And ultimately, when you look at it, you go, well, look, the new Dell has actually got far more acquired distinctiveness here. You can't really expect them to rebrand for this, for this small person. He didn't have a trademark, so he didn't really have any legal standing. And ultimately, he had to, even though it was his name, he had to rebrand his website and everything else. So it's one of those. But finishing off on one thing that we are seeing a massive increase on, which we need to kind of raise awareness of. These trademark scams.
It's getting ridiculous.
I mean, they're getting more and more sophisticated. So the trademark scams, what's the biggest one that we're seeing at the moment?
Well, the first one that you'd get if you're doing an application, whether it be through a representative or on your own, it doesn't matter. You're always going to get a scam, is upon application, once your trademark's been, in fact, it used to be once your trademark's been accepted by the IPO and you're published. Now it's as soon as you submitted the application, you get a trademark scam, a letter through the door, usually 2, saying you need to pay to publish your trademark. And it usually to be the tune of about 900 quid, which is far more expensive than most applications.
In spite of everything that we do, we have had in, 2 decades nearly, we've had probably 2 or 3 people fall for it, haven't we, out of 4,000 customers. And we do give all the warning in the world.
But imagine if you didn't have a representative.
Oh no, that's the thing. If you've not got a rep, then how do you know the difference? And and it looks so official. And the mad thing is, because they're overseas, no one can do anything about it. They've not changed anything. I don't know who deals with the post. I don't know how you stop it. But just what you said on sophistication is that they're actually putting a lawyer's name to the letter. Wow.
So if you look at the letter, it will be a law firm, a lawyer's name. And whoever the lawyer is, they must be absolutely seething that their name's being put to this. So it's not just, people think when people are being scammed, oh, you're stupid, you've fallen for it. It's not the case. These are really sophisticated. And it links back to the rise of AI. It's not just scams that people are now getting. It's just constant unwanted post. Because obviously, your address it's public information. It's on the IPO.
It's funny. So we always had very low uptake on our care of service in the past, and I think that we're now, because people were like, well, my accountant can do it, and a lot of people, if they don't want their post going to their house, especially if they're doing it in their personal name, as a lot of people are advised to do. So it often makes more sense to put the trademark in your personal name and lease it back to the business, and that's part of the services that we offer to make sure that you've got that protection in case anything goes wrong with the business, because especially with this current regime, it's difficult at the moment for businesses to make money, and everyone can be let down by a client. You don't want to necessarily lose your brand. But we're seeing now that people are recognising that their accountant can't tell the difference between a scam any better than they can, because they're not a trademark expert, and that's fine. So actually, just for these purposes, for the purposes of trademarks, we can at least say if they're going off the IPO register or the EU IPO register or whatever it is, if we use our care of address, then we can handle all that post and we can put the scam letter straight in the bin.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even need to alert the client because we know that it's a scam.
Yeah.
Just as we know, as AI is evolving and as technology is evolving, that these scams, they evolve naturally with them.
Yeah.
And there'll always be a new scam coming into place.
Absolutely.
Or an earlier scam. For example, a renewal scam, whereas they used to send the post out just as your window opened, they'll now send it 3 months earlier.
Yeah,
so we would get that 3 months earlier, not have to alert our client, and the client would never know.
It saves both of us time, because the client doesn't need to ring us and go, do I need to ignore this, or do I need to take action on it? What do I do? It saves us having to deal with that call, which means we can be focused on more important things like drafting applications, dealing with renewals, notifying people, carrying out our annual reviews. Because the thing is as well, we talk about our monitoring frequency, and it's something that that I'm always trying to stress to everybody, is that even if you're on a annual monitoring plan with us, we still monitor your trademarks constantly. That is part of what we do as a representative, because we are your representative. So we are notified if there are any potential infringements via the IPO. The only difference if you have your monthly monitoring for trademarks with us is that we are proactively looking, and we have a more detailed forensic search where we do more degrees of search. For example, rather than just being the brand name, we would do an exact match, but we'd also do maybe starts with or contains, or if it's an image, we use slightly more advanced AI technology that we've developed for image recognition. And these types of things are they do add value, but ultimately people have got budgets. But it's just making sure that people understand that as a representative, our job definitely doesn't stop at the trademark registration stage. If anything, it's just beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's one thing having a trademark, but you want to make sure you can enforce your rights on it and make sure you know if someone else is trying to register something similar.
Definitely. And as I always say to my clients, that 90% or 95% of my clients, they don't want to know about trademarks. They don't need to know about trademarks. They're trying to crack on with their business, which is why if we can take all the heavy lifting, including all the unwanted heavy lifting off from their side, then great.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Well, obviously there's been a fair bit of stuff in the news about trademarks. It probably will be next week, and we do need to do this more often, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
It's good for both of us because it's actually a chance to just sit and reflect on what's going on in the market. And we are, one thing is certain is that trademarks are on the increase now, and that's why we're seeing an increased number of objections, infringements, cancellation requests. There's just, it seems that everybody is a lot more active, and the goal has always been for us to try and make sure that SMEs have got the same level of support as the big corporates, and I hope that we're going some way towards doing that. Nobody's perfect, but on the whole, customers seem pretty happy at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it all starts off with all the necessary checks that we do up front, and we kind of, for ourselves, we make the applications easier for ourselves from doing the work up front.
Yeah, we want to keep that success rate high, don't we?
Yeah.
Because no one likes failing, do they?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
But in terms of the podcast, for any listeners, it'd be great to, if you have any suggestions of what you'd want us to speak about, whether it be trademark related or brand related, or even just generally what's going on with SMEs and how they're feeling, then we're always open to suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting as well, we're doing a lot of additional, in our annual reviews, we're doing a lot of additional support for people now, in particular with funding. Like, a lot of people need to refinance, and I'm going to cover that next week actually on what we're seeing as a kind of rising threat to businesses with this revolving credit facilities. Without mentioning any names, but it feels like a lot of business owners are getting themselves caught up in directors' guarantees and things like that, which probably didn't need to take place, and just how to avoid those situations, but also if you are in that situation, how you can potentially restructure to get yourself out of it. And it's always been the goal. We're finally at a stage now where we've got enough automation and work going on behind the scenes that we're able to start focusing on how we can add additional value for people, and hopefully we can get more of that over. So absolutely, you're right. If there's anything in particular people want to hear about, or want to know more about, or any direct questions about trademarks they want answering, because we appreciate not everyone wants a rep, and you might just want a bit of free guidance, and we're happy to give it. So that's all from me. Thanks for your time, Matt.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jon.
Cheers.